All right, so Michael Gougis with Road Racing World. I'm here with Josh Herrin at Button Willow Raceway Park, where Josh has just attempted to set a new world record for an elbow drag. Based on what you got, what did you, how far did you go and how fast were you going?
So they go off of kilometers an hour. We had to be at least 161.1.
Okay.
I think we ended up doing 164, but
164 was the fastest. 163 is the one you.
So 163.4, I think.
Got
was
it.
Like the one that because the rules are weird. We had to hold an average speed to there, but then also from the beginning of the first trap, or before the first trap and after the second trap.
Right.
We had to have touch the elbow down and had to stay on the ground the whole way through it, which is weird because normally when we're racing, right, we would go through there at faster speeds than that and just barely touch it. But now this is really the only turn in the whole country I could think of that we could do that on out of every track I've been to. I asked Chris Ulrich, I asked Josh Hayes, I asked a lot of people, and this is really the only one we could do besides maybe Brainerd, but I've never been to Brainerd. I don't know what the condition of the track was. So that's what made it really tricky, was holding the elbow down for that whole distance, because it was 30 meters, which is I don't know how many feet that was. It's a little over 90 feet. Yeah, over 90 feet. So that was hard because I had to make sure I put enough pressure that when I hit a bump, my elbow didn't bounce off the ground.
Right.
So when I put that much pressure on my elbow, it was really lightening the front of the bike and lightening the whole bike, I think, quite a bit. So it got a little squirrely, so it was hard to maintain that speed and apply that pressure.
Oh my God, yeah.
And a lot of people don't really, there's two other factors too, a lot of people were saying, I saw a lot of stuff online about GP guys go faster than that and drag their elbow. Yes, they do. Also, they're on GP bikes, GP tires,
There's
smooth tracks, and they're touching the elbow down. They're not holding it down the whole time also.
Exactly.
Also, we're on bumpy tracks here. We're on, it's different stuff. We're on sport bikes. We're not on GP bikes. So it was very hard and very scary because the lines also were different than my normal racing line. I had to do a wide entry, carry a lot of speed through.
Got it.
Track's a little dusty, so there's a lot of stuff that gets added into it. And then also, a lot of people go off of what they think is the speed is on their dash, right? That's their wheel speed. You can't do that. You lean the bike over. Once you change the tire dimensions from, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but the stock tires compared to bigger size race tires, your speed changed right there. But then also, Chuck Graves told me when you lean the bike into the corner, the speed raises when it's not actually going that much faster. But then also, we were going off of GPS speed from actual AIM data from Chuck Graves' bikes when we did the first two attempts. And we did the same corner, same tires and everything. I felt more comfortable on the R6, I could go faster.
Okay.
But once we got the actual speed traps, it was a lower speed than what we were even getting on the data. So then the first couple attempts we did today was shit, it was a lot further down than what we thought it would be. So we were still kind of worried. So it was nerve-wracking for me because I know Thomas, not only in the last two tries, has put a lot of money into this whole thing, but now he's got a crew of 10 guys out here, 4 videographers. He's got my videographer here. He's got 4 witnesses here. He's gone through the whole process. He has 5 of his guys from Fresh and Lean here. So it's a lot of money put into something that's really just for fun. So it was kind of nerve-wracking.
All of a sudden, it's not just fun anymore. There's some real work going on here.
And then now I'm kind of pumped that we did it. But when when they're first oh, you did it, it's you have to go look at the footage. You got to make sure that's the right one, and you're going the right speed, and they timed everything together. And there was so much going into it too. They had to have how many different cameras running at the same time?
At least 4.
Yeah, 5 running.
5 running at the same time. One showing each of the witnesses, one showing the entire wide-angle view of everything, and one showing the elbow drag up close, and then also the GoPros that were on the bike, just to make sure we got every angle. And they required that all the cameras started at the same time and had somebody on camera saying hey, everything's synced up, one of the witnesses, so that way they knew that we didn't get the footage a week later or a week earlier
right.
and submit it. So it was a lot of stuff that went into it, and Fresh and Lean handled everything. All I had to do was just show up and ride.
Wow.
Rick from Alpine Stars came out here and made sure that I had a couple sets of the elbow sliders with the metal slider in them, so we didn't go through the plastic sliders super fast, but we still went through three pucks in just 17 laps. So
wow.
That's how much pressure we were putting. Me in an entire race year, Rick, didn't even go through a set of elbow sliders. So to go through 3 in 17 laps, it shows how much pressure we were having to put compared to a normal
And like you said, that when your elbow's on the ground that hard, that's putting input into the bar.
Yeah.
And that's doing funny things to the front end of the bike.
I believe so, yeah.
And you're doing 160 kilometers an hour.
It's like 120 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's not where you want the front end dancing around.
It was nerve-wracking for sure. And you know, like even for me, like when I purposely, there's a couple videos I post on Instagram, like, you know, on the R1, like purposely sliding the rear tire coming out of the corners. That's all pressure being put on my knee and elbow to get it to loosen up or lighten up to where I can do that. So I know that when you do that, that's what happens for sure. That's how I get the thing to slide. You know, you put a lot of pressure on my elbow and knee, it kind of takes some of that pressure off the shock, lightens up the rear, and allows you to slide. So you're like dealing with all that crap all in one time while I'm trying to go the fastest probably I've ever gone through a corner with my elbow down. And yeah, so, and just to be clear, you know, I know that there are guys that have gone faster with their elbow down, but there is no Guinness World Record, and there is no official, you know, this is the first official thing that anybody's done. So this is meant to, you know, bring attention to fresh and lean, but also bring attention to the sport. I think it's good for the sport. You know, I grew up as a kid always wanting to get the Guinness World Record books. They're expensive, so my mom didn't let me get them every year. But, you know, you'd see them every now and then, and I think in a way, as a kid, you see certain things in there, and you kind of want to go do that. Maybe you don't want to break that record, but it's like, oh, that's a sport I didn't know about. That's cool. I want to try that.
Right.
So I think these are the things, like, that it's the foundation of building our sport into something better that a lot of people don't think of. And I think over the past couple of years, that's something I've really tried to do, is try and find these things that I can do to get attention from maybe people outside of the sport, but also people that are just street riding that don't really know about racing, that see something like this, or they see the momentum video we did where we're drifting through the canyon, or they see a video of me on the XSR 900, you know, just carving the canyon and being, you know, safe riding on the right side of the road, and you can still do these things without being dangerous, and it brings them into our sport because it's just something different than just seeing a guy race on the track. It's like something new and fresh that brings them into the sport. And what better way to bring something fresh into the sport than with fresh and lean than an elbow drag. So, yeah.
No, it's funny. I've known you for a long time, and you know, just look at your eyes. This was not an easy thing to do. No. This was work.
Yeah,
you know,
I was scared that I don't want to crash. I have a good opportunity coming up for 2021, and I don't want to crash.
Right.
You know, Fresh and Lean is also supporting, you know, what we're going to do next year, and they have a lot into the program. And
that was actually the next question I was going to ask. Can you say anything official about your plans for 2021 yet?
No, there's numerous teams that we talked to. Fresh and Lean's stepping up big time and trying to help me to secure a spot. So there's teams that need funding, and they are doing really well right now. They're happy with how, I guess, I've promoted their brand in our industry. They like the demographic for our sport.
Right.
And so they're willing to help out a little bit more. I'll be racing Superbike in MotoAmerica. I can't say for what team or manufacturer, but there's a couple of teams we talked to, and it'll be a team that we can be more competitive on than I was this year. And get back to having fun racing.
Excellent. Look, talk about 2020 very briefly. Given what you had to work with, are you happy with what you did?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's, you know, all year I was just, Gagne was the best rider that I knew that rode that bike.
Okay.
The year before me. So all year I was gauging myself off of him. I think tires improved, so times are a little bit better maybe.
Okay.
But pretty much every track that we went to, I was right on his times or a little bit better. There was, you know, part of that time where he was injured, but that was just, my goal was to always try and, you know, go faster than him. Not just because he is who he is, but that's the guy that rode that bike last.
Right.
I know my job is to go faster than that guy, go as fast as I can, but at least be going faster than he was. And we were able to do that pretty much everywhere we went. We had spurts of really good rides. Scheibe, you know, they tried as hard as they could. I mean, with the budget they had, they don't have any full-time guys. Steve's driving the truck to and from every race. He's, you know, using money out of his own pocket whenever he has to.
Right.
He took a big gamble, you know, with getting me because I was, you know, trying to get half the contingency for the year from BMW, so that took a lot out of his pocket, which, you know, I have to pay bills as well, so it wasn't like I was doing it to be mean. I got to pay bills.
Right.
And with what we had, I think we did great. You know, there was times, yes, where we had some mechanicals that we shouldn't have had, but it was just bad luck. you know, one thing we struggled with this year is its budget was the biggest thing. But when we, you know, he put in a little bit more effort than he should have at a couple rounds, and got the Owens guys to come over and help us, and that was a huge help for us. We had
Cool.
2 rounds where they were there with us the whole weekend. Indy was the best one, and we were running up front the entire time. We got BMW's first ever Superbike podium in America. We finished the closest that they've ever finished to the front of a race in America, which was only 3 seconds off the front. So
Wow.
to me, for a model 2015 year bike, competing against teams with budgets upwards of $200,000-$300,000 a year for sure, you know, even the attack team is probably paying the riders over $100,000 alone there. So that's $200,000 just in rider salaries probably. I'm assuming, I don't know those numbers, but they're spending a lot of money compared to what we were spending. And for us to be that close to the front, even if it's that one race, it's like, okay, look, there's potential there. Steve, you know, he knows what he's doing. It's just hard because he doesn't have the budget. So
Yeah.
if he had some big sponsors coming in and help him, I think he could run a really solid program. And I really liked working with him. We also did the Daytona 200, which unfortunately got canceled after qualifying. But we set the lap record, you know, and I hadn't been there in 5 years, hadn't rode that bike that we were racing. So I think I'm riding better than I ever have rode right now, and I just need the right package to show that, and I think we'll have it next year and
Very cool.
be competitive.
All right, one more question, then I'll let you go. Your friend Cameron Beaubier is heading over for Moto 2.
Yeah.
You've been in that Shark Tank. Any advice for him? Anything that you would recommend for anybody going over and starting in Moto 2 today?
Yeah, I'm pumped for Cameron. You know, I think it's an awesome opportunity. I'm glad that he's going to do it. I think obviously he was the top of our sport for the past couple of years in America. It's going to be tough, you know, for sure. Luckily he's on a good frame. He's on the Calyx, which is good.
Right.
And I think having Joe Roberts there, I think will help him because he knows that he's rode at that level that Joe's at. He knows that,
Got it.
He knows, hey, I've beat that guy before, right? He has
Right.
that mentality going into it, which Joe's obviously improved while he's been there, but he knows I can beat that guy. Joe's setting lap records and running at the front of every race, which is awesome. I don't think we talk about Joe enough right now just for how good he's doing. I think he set the bar for Cameron to be able to come maybe, and even Gerloff doing as well as he did on Superbike and getting the GP, you know, feeling right. I think they both set the bar for Cameron to be able to go a little bit easier and get what he wanted.
Right.
But it's going to be tough. You know, I think luckily he's got this whole American racing thing, so it helps like feel more comfortable being there, I think. And Zemke's looking after him, and he's hopefully, if I had any advice for him, I would say to just go there, stay there, don't worry about coming home, because your family's going to be there when you come back. Don't worry about coming home to see them. Obviously, every now and then come, but don't be trying to get on the first flight back to America.
Just immerse yourself in it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's very hard because we're not like those people over there, so it's hard. It's difficult, but they do it here. You know,
Yeah.
guys come and live here, and they stick it out. And I wish I would have just gotten an apartment there, stayed there, and really just focused on hanging out with people from there, and not worried about bringing friends over there, bringing family there, girlfriends over there. Just focus on just living that lifestyle. I think Gerloff does it really well. He's out training with those guys all the time. He's out riding mini bikes with them, bicycles. He's learning the language. Like just try your hardest to be that. You know,
Yeah.
It's very hard. Growing up here, I think we're so privileged and it's so awesome here. We love it here. So yeah, we want to come back, but this is what his family and he has put his whole life into just to get where he's going. And he's good enough to go win world championships. So I think that would be the biggest thing for him, is to just embrace himself and the culture there and live there.
Got it. Hey, this has been Michael Gougis, and this has been Josh Herrin. Thank you so much for your time, Josh. I appreciate it.